The Most High is waiting on us. He waiting on you. You're supposed to be doing what we do. You're supposed to be, because you from this area, right? You're not? Where you from? Who? Smoking City. Where that's at? In North Memphis. So they know you in North Memphis. So who you think they'll receive better with? Seeing that you change, coming back to the community, trying to wake the people up. They'll receive you better than they will us, because you was in the trenches with them. They saw you grow up. They saw you do certain things, and they see you change. They'll be accepting to the word to change as well. So get that in 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways.
So that's what the brother's been trying to tell everybody that come up here. That's what our message is, to turn from all sins, turn from all wicked ways. This stuff that's going on in our communities, it's out of order according to God. And it's going to keep happening until we, which are called by God's names, turn from all sins. Read.
Then will I hear from heaven.
Once we do that, God said he's going to do what?
Then will I hear from heaven.
Ain't we been crying out for far too long? Ain't we been marching? No justice, no peace. Why, God? Why, God? Why did this happen to me? Ain't we been crying out to God? But God said he is wanting one thing from us, to be called by his name and turn from our wicked ways. Read.
Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins.
And we'll do what?
And will forgive their sins.
God simply wants us to repent so he can forgive us of our sins, our trespassing against him. Read.
And will heal their land.
And heal their land. How? Give me Psalms 107 verse 20. How is this land going to be healed by God when we turn away from our sins? What must the land come back to doing? What must we as a nation of people, the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native American, what we must do in order to change our current condition in society? Read what you got.
The book of Psalms chapter 107 and verse 20. He sent his word and healed them.
And did what?
And delivered them from their destruction.
So don't we want to be delivered from our destruction? Ain't we getting killed down by all the other nations of people in different incidents? We're the most hated men on the face of the earth.
That's right.
Because guess what? All the other nations is in one accord with putting us down to the bottom, with overthrowing us. Give me that in Psalms 83. That's what we don't understand. It's far too long that we've been against each other, to the point where every other nation is against us as well. Ain't this enough that they have come against us to the point where we got to be against each other? Well, when we see each other, we see hatred. When we see each other, we want to shoot each other down and kill each other. We got to stop that, man. We brothers. A lot of our brothers and sisters don't understand that by us being raped, robbed, and pilgrimage, and coming through all of these affliction on slave ships being docked throughout the world, a lot of us don't know that we brothers and sisters. You don't understand that we closer than we think. We think we enemy, but we closer in relatives and blood than we think, because they taught us. They did something that a lot of us ain't privy to, that we're about to read about. Read what you got in Psalms 83. Start with verse, what? 1. You can start with verse, now 2.
The book of Psalms chapter 83 and verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lift up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
It says they have taken crafty counsel. The enemy has done this, taking crafty counsel against us. Look, we already got an enemy that God is going to describe to us. Why we see each other as enemy? We coming out of the same ghettos, the same slums, trying to get it. Why when we get to the top, we feel like we each other enemies? No, we got an enemy that the Bible speaks of that has been destroying us from day one. Read what you got.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have consulted against the hidden ones. You know how we hidden? Give me Jeremiah 17 verse. No. Read down. Keep on.
They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel,
the name of who?
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Do you remember when your name once was Israel? You don't remember that. Do you wonder why? Because they don't want you to remember. But what a sign at? On this sign, look over here. All of these are God-given names, the biblical, out of the Bible. All of these are our names when we went through all of this atrocities and affliction. That's how they cut us off from being a nation. Read what you got.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
It says, even thyself shall discontinue from our heritage. God used the other nations to punish us because we didn't want to serve him and the one of all things for joyfulness and gladness of heart, Deuteronomy 28:47. Because we didn't want to serve God that way and we cleave to the other nations, God said, guess what? I'm going to make you serve them because you didn't want to humbly serve me and keep my laws. You want to follow after the other nations and their customs. That's the reason why our people celebrate Christmas. They finna celebrate Thanksgiving. They celebrate Halloween. They celebrate all these things that God didn't give us. So God is in opposition of us being prosperous, being productive as a nation of people. Read what you got. Deuteronomy.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 26. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
When we scattered all over the earth, from state to state, continent, from continent, country to country, from city to city, all because of our disobedience. A lot of our people don't understand. They wonder why all these things go on, but all your answers can be found in this book right here. But we just ain't willing to do what God asking us. Give me Psalms 94 verse 16. We ain't willing to make up in our mind and to answer this question and serve God in sincerity. Read what you got.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 16. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers?
What's your name, bro? Who? Aaron. So God is asking you this question right here. Listen real closely. Read.
Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
It says, who gonna do that? What was God's point for making Aaron? What was his point for creating you and putting you on this earth? Give me Ecclesiastes 12:13. For you to stand up against evil. Your whole existence, your whole purpose for being put on this earth and being a brother that has to come back to ruling in righteousness was because this right here. Read what you got.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 12. Further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books.
13.
Verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
What is the conclusion of God making you into a human being, a soul, a living vessel on earth? Was it designed for you to do your own pleasures? Nah. That's where we get it mixed up at. We feel like we on earth to fulfill our own lustful desires, when we are here for God's plan and not man's plan. Read what you got.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments.
Read.
For this is the whole duty of man.
This is your whole existence, your whole purpose of living, your whole purpose of God forming you. Give me Jeremiah 1 verse 5. When God had you in mind, he had you in mind before you was even in the womb. Before he even created you in existence, he said, look here, when this soul right here hit earth, this soul right here, I need him to basically wake up to the commandments of God and start serving me and tell his brothers and sisters what they need to do in order to get right with me as well. Read what you got.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 1 and verse 5. Before I formed thee in the belly.
God said, before I even created you in your mama's womb. Read.
Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee.
God said he knew you. He knew you. Was that it on that? Read.
And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
God said he sanctified you and ordained you, Aaron, a prophet to the nations. So you can have that rule. Give me Revelations 2 verse 25. He said he sanctified you and ordained you a prophet to the nations. So what you can do to the nations when you get this power in your hands, you don't supposed to just run around rapidly doing whatever you want with this power. You got to do what God commands you to do with this power. Yeah, you're supposed to instruct your people, but you got to first start with who? Aaron. Read what you got.
The book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 26.
You think we out here on the corner preaching just for the hell of it? No. We know if it wasn't for this book saying that we was going to get rulership and that the other nations, that they was going to reap what they sow for taking us through all these afflictions that they took us through and still to this day taking us through, I wouldn't believe in this book. I wouldn't hold this book dear to my mind understanding it and to my actions with fulfilling it. But read what you got.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end.
It says, he that overcometh and keep his works to the end. The works are God's commandments. We gotta keep God's commandments. Everything is about Israel waking up to who they is and keeping God's commandments, so that we may endure to the end. And read.
And keepeth my works unto the end. To him will I give power over the nations.
Don't you want power over these nations? Read.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron.
You're supposed to be ruling them, but the script has been flipped because of our disobedience. Read.
As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers.
It says just like a vessel can be broken easily to shivers, that's how they supposed to respect you and govern themselves according to the rules that's going to be set up in the kingdom. Read.
Even as I received of my Father.
It said just like he received power from his Father. Christ could have easily got himself off the cross, but he know he had to die for the nation of Israel, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, so we can come back into our rightful throne and rulership. We got to be willing to accept that. But guess what? People will walk from the word of God. They'll peel off. They'll turn their music up. They'll roll their wonders up. But meanwhile, when they get afflicted, they want to seek God early.
Right.
God is not a puppet where you can put your hand up him and you can work in front of him the way that you want him when you want to. God don't deal like that. God deal with order, with actions and order. That's how God deal. So you talking, I'm gonna tell you, you're agreeing to the word now. Give me Deuteronomy 30 verse 19. All these people that you done seen come up and listen to the word, guess what God doing to them? He marking them. He's checkmate. Because you listened to the word. You heard the word, you understood the word, but by you didn't hearken to the word, guess what? Now you got to be uprooted off the earth. God ain't dealing with us. He ain't playing with us at all, man. We ain't dying at a rapid rate for nothing.
Bring it out. God
is simply trying to show us something so we can understand what he's showing us, which is these laws, to bring us together as a unit. We don't supposed to be out here divided in gang and being you in this gang, I'm in this gang. You like this color, I like this color. Yeah. We're against each other. We don't supposed to be in the midst of all that foolishness. That's another form of segregation, having us to be at odds with each other. Read what you got.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30 and verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you.
So this day, a lot of people that come up to this platform, ask questions, listening, God is recording this day against them. It ain't gonna be when that time when God come back to judge the earth, because it's gonna happen. God is gonna basically remind you that you stood amongst the prophets and you went and rebelled against his word.
That's right.
So he gotta deal with you according. So when he judge you, he's justified. However he may judge you. Read what you got.
I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death.
He says he set before you. What two choices you have?
Life and death.
You really have one. You really have life to choose from, because you're gonna die. Right. Regardless, you got to die because he created this body to die. But the next body, that body won't die. Read what you got.
That I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
It says choose life. Give me 2 Ezra 7 verse 56. It says choose life so that us and our seed may live while our seed dying. This generation that's in the earth now, they the worst generation that's known to mankind. And God destroyed the earth earlier in the book of Genesis, all because of the height of wickedness reached up to the heavens. Read what you got.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 56.
I'm going to tell you this. See, what a lot of people don't understand, the people always say, well, yeah, we're going to die anyway. Everybody got to die. But what happens after death? Is that it? No. No, that's not it. That's what all people get confused. You think you messing with the God that did us like this, and you think you're going to get away by just dying? Nah, God don't roll that way. He don't roll that easy. Read what you got.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 56. For while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death.
We got to suffer for all the things that we did, that we committed in this time right here. We got to suffer for those things. So guess what? The suffering just started to begin because you had a choice to live pretty decent in this lifetime. You can get you a job, you can get you a house, you can keep the laws of God easily. But guess what? We choose death in this life, and we're going to choose death in the next life to come. Read what you got.
2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 9. Then they shall be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways.
All people abuse God's ways. Guess how? Because they eat what they want to eat, they drink what they want to drink, they wear what they want to wear, they marry who they want to marry, they do everything outside of God, and they do what they want to do. God didn't design this body to indulge in anything that we want to do. That's the reason why we lead at HIV, we lead in STD, we lead at high blood pressure, diabetes, gout. We lead at all these things out of all the nations, all because we was disobeying God.
To scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.